What do you get when you take people dedicated to their craft, going through leaps and bounds, acting on their plan of action even in the midst of adversity? You get a heartfelt story so organic and becoming so genuine, which forces you to be a part of their moment, joining these experiences as if you were a part of them. These are stories of people, just like you and I, reflecting from within on how they've used adversity to catapult their lifestyle, their vision, and their goals to becoming successful. Here at the Stories to Savor Network, we welcome you to this wonderful heartfelt show entitled Reflections from Inside. So the next time you go through trials and tribulations, or having self-doubt, consider to let the stories resonate with you in hopes to inspire you to believe that you can do whatever you set your mind to do.
Several times early on in the story, you referred to yourself as trailer trash, as white trash. That's how you self-identified. Help me understand how a bright-eyed young girl sees that world on a day in and day out experience, because for the rest of us that wasn't normal.
Well, living in a trailer park was just, I didn't know any different. My friends I didn't have a lot of friends because I started work at age 11. So after school I would go to work, so I didn't get to participate in outside activities. I didn't go to a lot of people's homes. I never had sleepovers because I was too embarrassed. But in the trailer park area, some of my girlfriends, like their fathers, they would take us out riding around in the trucks with alcohol and take us to porn shops. And the one father, he was a drunk, and I would come over and he'd be laying on the sofa and he would pull out his private and ask me to perform sexual favors.
So, and you're sharing this with me like you're telling me that you put on a pair of red shoes, right? Like this is something that you've gone through every single day as a little girl, and this is your normal?
Yeah, that was just normal. There was a lot of violence, a lot of abusive people. So in the trailer you can hear everything. And at that time I was smoking cigarettes, and my mom didn't.
At age 11?
At age 11, so I was in 6th grade. And I had cigarettes in my coat pocket. And so my mom came to the emergency room and she said, "I found what was in your pocket, and I just want you to know that it's okay, you can smoke in your bedroom, but just don't smoke in any other area of the house."
So giving you permission at 11
yes,
to engage in a risky health behavior.
To smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
And then also she would take me to bars with her when I was like 13 to play pool. And so I was exposed to a lot of adult situations. And so all of this was just a normal life to me. I didn't really know any different until obviously I grew up and became an adult. When I tell somebody the story, they're like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, well, that's nothing. You should hear some of the other stories.
So you didn't have any other outside exposure. This was your reality.
That was my reality, other than my grandparents.
Okay. And so for you, it felt more like this is what everybody does every day.
Absolutely. Yeah, seeing my mother abused, on a daily basis, physically abused. My sister being abused. She got into an abusive relationship as well. Her boyfriend came over to our house, and he had her on the sidewalk, and he was taking her face. He was sitting on her butt, and he had her grabbed by the hair and slamming her face into the sidewalk. And so her face was just a disaster. And my stepdad came out and stopped him, but then he came back, and I talk about it later in the book. And he came back with a shotgun. And so we all just scattered, and I was hiding in my closet, and he came in my room, and I just remember being behind the livered board, the door, seeing him, and I was thinking, oh my God, he's going to kill me. And then he ran down the hallway and rammed the shotgun through the door, tried to get after my stepfather, and this was the father of my sister's child. My sister ran away when she was 13. My parents got divorced at that time. I was 11. So everything just kind of fell apart at 11. I had to go to work. My sister ran away. She dropped out of school. And she, just repeated the behavior. And she's still, at 54 in that situation now. So yeah, it was very normal.
I'd like to ask your permission if I could read something from the book.
Sure.
If that's okay. So I've got this passage here. It's just a couple sentences. You write, "I grew up in a trailer park and was made to think that I was nothing but trash and had no worth or purpose in my life. I was then abused or neglected by the people in my life that were supposed to love and care about me. What was your relationship like with your parents?
My dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict, but I was definitely his favorite, so that made me feel special. He was abusive to my mom. I'd only seen him be abusive to my mom a couple times, nothing compared to my stepdad. And my mom, it just seemed like my mom was more of my friend, but on the flip side, she was always very jealous of me, and still is. I mean, I haven't talked to her in like 7 years, so we don't have a good relationship. But she was just, she would allow me to smoke. She'd take me out with her, and part of it was just, probably her own environment, which I don't know a lot about. But as a child, I guess she just didn't know how to be a parent. She never played with me. She never took me to a movie. She never took me out to eat. She never came to a school function, other than my homecoming when I was homecoming candidate. She never bought me clothes. I had to buy my own clothes. We never did anything together. It was just when we were kids, just go outside and come home when it's dark. So she really wasn't a parent. Okay. She was a friend, and she was very selfish. Like she would buy chips and dip or pop, and then we were never allowed to go in the refrigerator. And if we wanted something, then we had to go buy it ourselves.
But you couldn't eat food in your own home,
right,
unless you had paid for it yourself.
Right. That was just normal to us. So the good side is that when I grew up, I knew who I didn't want to be, and I knew what I didn't want. Yeah. Like I never had a birthday party. I had my first birthday cake when I was 25. Wow. But to me it was just normal. I didn't know any difference.
So you spent all these years as a child without even a birthday cake.
Correct.
Was there a father figure in your life? Was your mom married to your father? Did you have a stepfather? Who was the patriarch of the family?
Well, my dad left when I was 11, and then I didn't see him again until I was like 19. And at that time, he had come home and he was going through treatment, and then he got Lou Gehrig's disease, and then he died shortly after that. So he died at age 45. But he did get to meet my children, and I did get to voice how I felt about him, and so that was a very, very wonderful experience watching him. Then the father figure, there was really no father figure in my life until I started work at a company when I was 25. I became vice president of this huge insurance company. And then I also had another father figure prior to that, which was also in a work environment situation.
Okay. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about that when we come back.
She came to me and said, "Has he ever hit on you?" And I'm thinking, well, why in the heck are you going to marry somebody if you're asking me if he's ever hit on anyone? Well, it turned out he had been in prison for rape.